Hey, and welcome back to the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at Deadly Dowagers. This is going to be a game of serial marriage. By that, I mean you're a middle-class Victorian woman who has a little bit of land and a small little dowry, but is trying to marry the Duke. This is going to be a racing game in just that. Your goal is simply to marry the Duke. The first person to marry the Duke is going to win. But in order to do that, you're going to have to build up your estate, manage your funds, kind of invest in your husband and help him pursue different business ventures in order to build enough dowry for yourself. So you're going to play through a couple of rounds. It's going to be a drafting game for 1 to 6 players. Let's check out how it plays, and then I'll talk about what I think. To begin the game, everyone needs to choose one of the dowagers to play. I'm going to be showing Dahlia off here, so I would take her character card, set the infamy track to 0 at this point, and then start out with 5 crowns and 2 farmland. Now, once you select your husband, which everyone does simultaneously to begin the game, you're going to notice a couple things on the card. First of all, there is a certain amount that you have to have for your dowry here to pay, so he is going to cost me 2 crowns. So I'd pay those to the bank and take 3 and change back. And then I'm going to gain some infamy, so he would be infamy of 2. And so I would now be ready. If you had chosen the curate or the professor as well, you're going to take this blue marker and put it down on their lowest level. So for example, now my professor is indeed just a professor, so this would go on the mark right there. After this, everyone is going to get a hand of 5 cards, be dealt 5, and we are ready to begin the game. The player aid here, or I guess the character sheet, has a fantastic player aid on it, I should say, so we'll just kind of go through that one at a time. The first thing we're going to do is go into phase 1, which is going to be to draft some suitable options. So when you draft, you're going to do just that. You're going to look at the cards you have, keep one, pass the rest in the direction of the round marker, which is up here. So each round, this is going to flip over and draft in the opposite direction. So this time we would be drafting clockwise when we're going to draft 4 of the 5 cards. When you get down to the last 2, you would of course keep one and put the other in a discard pile. After that, you have completed phase 1 and you're ready to move down to phase 2. The next phase is called the investment phase. In the investment phase, there's 3 different symbols that you're going to play. These are going to be lands, instants, and what are they called? Ventures. Land, instants, and ventures. So let's take a look at a couple of those. So for the instance, we'll have charity. You can give 2 crowns to another player in order to reduce your infamy. So this is how you're going to keep that infamy track under control by playing it to charity. You can also have an affair, which will do the opposite. It's going to gain you some infamy here, but then you get 5 crowns from the bank. Then we get into the land cards. The land cards are going to have the scroll right here in the corner specifically. And when you have a common husband, which is going to be the top row, the farmer, the curate, or the professor, then you can only have 4 lands total. There's a reminder of this once again on the bottom of the player board here. So if you want to pay for, if you want to pay or buy another farmland, you can do that by paying the cost right here. You would pay 1 to the bank and again have another plot of land. I'm not going to do that just yet because I want to show you something later. Now the mechanical upgrade and the rent, you'll see they have a different symbol here. Those are ventures, and so at this point, we were talking about the lands that you can play, but there are also different ventures that you can slot into the lands. And then one more venture that we can do is going to be the shipping. So you can get into shipping with your husband. So you would just play that down into your tableau, and these are going to be kind of a set collection as annotated on the bottom of the card there. The more you have, the more they are worth. So you would just keep them in a set. So during this phase 2 of the investment, this is all done simultaneously. You are playing your cards and kind of just resolving them as they come about. Everyone's doing this at the same time. Once everyone is done, then we're going to go into phase 3. Phase 3 is dealing with your husband. It's the most important thing to remember in this phase is you can only play 1 card. There's 2 types of cards that you'll play during this phase, and those are going to be either the murder cards or cause of death cards and the remarry cards. So you can only play one of these 2 things. However, you can still take both actions. So let's take a look at that. say my infamy was right here. Okay, so we have the two different kinds of cards that you can play. The remarry cards are all going to be the same. There's a lot of different and varying of the murder cards. That's going to be everything from a hat pin, which is only going to give you 2 infamy, to an axe, perhaps, which is going to give you 4. And maybe if you're really lucky, you'll find the natural causes card, which is going to be 0. But we'll get to that in here just a second. So let's say in this phase, you can play one card, either a remarry or a cause of death card, and to kill your husband. You also can do one of a few different things, and these can be done in any order. You can promote your husband. This is only applicable if you have the professor or the curate, because they're the only ones that have the professions here that they can progress in. So if I would want to take my professor here up to the dean level, then the very first time I would have to pay 3 crowns. I would pay that to the bank, and I would move him down to a dean. Now he is a dean. The second time you do that, he would go to a chancellor, and that's going to cost 5 crowns. You can only promote once per round. So you would decide if you want to promote your husband, if you want to strangle your husband, or you want to elope with a new husband. This is important to remember because, like I said, you can only play one card. So let's say that I promoted him last round and I want to remarry somebody. What I'm going to do is I know that I'm sitting on this remarry card, so perhaps I would want to strangle him instead. So I would gain 7 infamy, as it says right here. So I'd go up to 9 infamy, and now he has died. When your husband dies, you're going to go through and settle their estates. In order to settle their estates, anytime you see this ink and quill symbol here, then you are going to resolve those cards. So for example, here on the dean, he is currently a dean, so he is worth 20 crowns. So we have the farmlands equal to 2, 4, 6. And then we also have this one, so that's going to be 10. And then we also have a mechanical upgrade. So on the mill and the mechanical upgrade, you're going to gain 1 additional crown per each of these little symbols that are on the card, which are going to come into play down here on your farmlands. And the mechanical upgrades is going to double one of those. And then, of course, I have the shipping. Only having 2 down here would be worth 0, so that wouldn't be very good. Anyway, you're going to settle that, go through and get crowns equal to all of the symbols on your cards, and then your husband will, of course, pass away. And so you go upside down, and now I have my little graveyard started over here. Anything with any of these venture cards or with the pocket watch symbol, those are going to go away because they are tied to your husband specifically. So all of these would go into that discard pile. Now, because I haven't played a card this round, if you remember, I just strangled him, I can also play my remarry card to remarry. I would look up here, choose a husband. Who do I have enough money for? Because now once we get into the nobles, they are going to cost a certain amount of dowry, and they're really trying to make sure that we're not too infamous. They don't want to get involved in any shady business. So we choose who we would want to. Let's say I can go here with Oswald, the Baron. So I would pull him down into my tableau. I played my remarry card, and I am now done with the dealing with my husband phase. Again, this is all going to be played simultaneously. Something I could have done is I could have, rather than strangling him so I could play the remarry card, I could have killed him with the hat pin, which would have only been 2 infamy, and then eloped, which would have gained 5. Because this is simultaneous, it is first come, first serve. There is a limited supply of husbands, so as it goes, there might not be any of these available. Now, in this phase, if anyone can marry the Duke, the game immediately ends and you win. Yes, this is going to be a race game to marry the Duke. So, the Duke has a requirement of 120 crowns and has a max infamy of 9. If you meet those 2 things and you can marry the Duke, then it is an instant win and the game is over. That is the only way to win, and it is a race. And you cannot elope with the Duke. You must have one of those remarry cards in order to marry him. He needs a big show. However, if that does not happen, then you're going to go into the last round, which is housekeeping. During the housekeeping phase, everyone needs to discard down to 3 cards because you can only have 3 cards from round to round. And then you're going to flip the round marker over to show that you'll be drafting the other way. We'll go back to the top. You deal out 5 cards, and you start the rounds over. Again, like I said, it's going to be a simple race. You're going to keep playing through these rounds until someone wins the Duke. The first person to win the Duke is going to win. And by that, I literally mean the first person to do it. Multiple people might get to it in the same round or might have the ability to do it in the same round. It is the first person to actually go through the steps to take care of it, or to remarry him. That's going to be it for Deadly Dowagers. Let's go back up top and talk about what I think. First up, I want to be very clear that this is a satirical game. It is a satire. Nobody endorses serial marriage here and actually killing your husband or doing this, trying to climb the marriage ladder, if you will. This is very satirical, and I think you will know off the bat if that puts you off, then this game is not for you. If you're not someone that has sensitivities to playing games like Jack the Ripper, things like that, then again, same kind of thing. This game is not for you, and just honestly, don't even try it. But if that isn't something that offends you or that you struggle with, then I think that the theme is right on point, and it is just that. It is very satirical. Every time I play this, there's a lot of laughter. Everyone gets into their theme, and it's really funny when it comes down to the murdering your husband or dealing with your husband phase. Everyone's kind of almost role-playing a little bit. There's little quips on the bottom of each cards that are a lot of fun to read and to play into. That just happens naturally. It doesn't feel this like a forced theme. So I really like that this game is theme forward and theme heavy, but it still has some really good mechanisms to back it up. I think the drafting is fantastic. I like that it is a very limited hand size, that at most you will only ever have 7 cards because you can carry 3 over each round and you'll draft 4 each round. So at the very most, you're going to have 7 cards. That's really manageable. As well as there's a limited number of kinds of cards, which means the drafting is going to be really quick. This is simultaneous play, but the cards are still passing around very quick, and each phase is resolved relatively smoothly. The really kind of hang up is if when you do kill your husband, it's just to go through and to count all those crowns. Can get a little, not burdensome, but a little clunky at times when you get to that phase specifically. I typically just resolve one thing at a time. So I kill my husband, take the dowry from his card, take care of the lands, take those crowns, take care of the ventures, take those crowns. So do it step by step, but that's so that I'm not doing a bunch of math in my head while everyone's doing it at the same time. Speaking of that, everyone doing it at the same time, that is going to be my biggest negative of the game. This is something that I have eventually just house ruled with multiple plays. I think that this game has some timing issues that a lot of time lend to whoever is most familiar with the game or whoever is quickest thinking is going to have the one up on everybody. And while that plays into the theme of it should be that kind of power hungry, scrambling kind of feeling, oftentimes it just takes away from the actual fun of the game, as it's like, well, if I did that first, well, do I get it first or do you get it first? Well, it says whoever gets it first. Okay, fine, then I snatch it. It's just a little bit clunky of what resolves in what order, to kind of slow the gameplay down and to not feel good at the end of the time. When you spend a lot of the time laughing and kind of building it up and playing into your character, the resolution of that just leaves you want. I really like the variability of the game. I've seen games win where you really go heavy into the different ventures, or maybe they go through and just kill a bunch of different husbands, so I think the most I've ever seen is 6 husbands that someone's been through. And then I've also seen someone that plays it very lean and just really, really builds up one husband. And I think the least I've seen is 3 husbands. So a lot of variability in the different ways that you want to play. I think the variability in the Dowagers is great as well. It definitely kind of feels like there's someone for everybody, and I appreciate that. And then I guess that really just kind of brings to the artwork as well. I think that it's nice that they went with original artwork, and it's very non-offensive. I think it fits the time without looking dusty, which I really appreciate as well. So ultimately, I'm going to come down at a 7.5 on this one, and it takes such a big hit because of those timing issues. Like I said, eventually I have house ruled these and we have a system to resolve them in. I do that by, whoever has the least infamy and then whoever has the most crowns. So there's kind of a double step for tiebreakers in there. And that just makes it, to me, that thematically makes sense. But ultimately, I shouldn't have to do that. I should be able to just play this out of the rules. So immediately, this is like, man, a second edition with a couple timing issues worked out and written into the rules would be fantastic. But it takes a big boost because I do love this theme. I think it's so very, very well implemented. I think it really hit that satirical nail on the head. What it was going for, it absolutely nailed it. And I love the player interaction in this. There is player interaction while you're having charity, you're giving to charity and you're passing crowns around, or you are spreading rumors. I don't think I showed that one in the overview. You're spreading rumors, so you take a hit on your infamy, but so does everybody else, and that can really put a kink in your plans. So I think there's really good positive interactions, but never enough that it completely ruins your chances at marrying the Duke. So I think it's great. I really, really enjoy it. I just would love a second edition of a couple rules smoothed out. But that being said, this is one of my most played games of the year so far. It has gone to every convention with me. I love that it can play at higher player counts and still be quick and punchy, but it's not a party game. You can play up to 6 with very simple mechanisms and a really good time. So for me, it's going to be a 7.5. That'll be a seal of approval for Deadly Dowagers. Thanks for joining me here at the Dice Tower. I'll see you next time. I'm Camilla.
Hey folks, thanks for watching another one of our videos. If you like our videos, if you like our channel, you would love to game with us at one of our conventions. Check out Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower East, and Dice Tower West. Fantastic conventions where we play games with wonderful people, a humongous library, and lots of other events and stuff. Also, don't forget to check out our channel, like and subscribe. I'm Tom Bassel.